We're walking up the trail from Mud Lake between Sherwood Flats, and we heard a crack in the trees, and we saw this beautiful beast. It's in the trees. I'm gonna walk up to the side here. Beautiful. Looks like it's probably a female moose. There's no doubt it's a moose. Whether or not it's male or female. Just gonna let him or her. I think it's a male. That dangly bit under the chin. Though I don't know. I'm not a moose specialist. We're gonna let him or her wander off into the woods. Give him plenty of space. Probably about 50 yards away. Lexi's standing behind a tree. We know that they have terrible eyesight, but a uniquely brilliant sense of smell. And we're fairly confident that it knows we're standing here. It's looked right at us. So we're just gonna back off. We do have poles with us. We're not getting any sense from him or her that we're a threat. And especially as our body language is communicating that we're moving away, that will further relax what might be a tension. It's starting to reach up into the trees to eat, and that to me is not a stress or a territorial response. And you can just make out its back right between those trees. Really cool.
It looks young.
It's huge.
From this, it just looks like a smaller moose. I don't know. Maybe it's just the distance. Gorgeous though. Chomping. Can you see him?
Yeah. So part of the reason that we bring poles with us, especially with the two of us, I know from extensive wilderness work in Colorado that bears, for example, a group of 3 or more, they will typically leave alone. Here we are, the two of us. Part of the reason we carry the poles is the metal clicking is often a deterrent. Animals don't typically appreciate the sound of metallic clicking specifically. We also carry them because if we put them up on our head, makes us look big, fast, and like we have horns. So we've never had to employ that. This would probably be the most likely scenario, but we heard the snap of twigs. It was a pretty loud, clear snap. Both of us looked over to the left, and we just listened to what was in the trees. And before long, we saw big beastie reveal itself from behind the pines. Yeah. So it's made space, we've made space. We've had a really neat moose encounter out here in the woods. You can see it walking. And I think that's a positive interaction. If we had had a dog with us, that could have been a very different scenario. So any folks that have dogs, being able to control that behavior immediately, because they're going to want to chase and pursue. And if the moose feels threatened, they're going to either fight or flee. And if they fight, they'll kick the dog, they may charge the person. So I think our awareness and seeing that it was here, we stopped, we gave it space, made for a pleasant moose encounter where some folks get gored or they get charged, and that is not our experience. So
We see them as wolves, they don't differentiate. Wolf is their main predator,
right.
and they don't differentiate between a dog and a wolf. So they will often, I've heard, fight, kick, and that could be the potential injury or death of your furry friend.
And we have, not in the case of a moose, but we do have friends in a remote space in Colorado that did lose their dog to a bear. The dog felt compelled to defend our female friend. He's just making his way up through the trees there. Did feel compelled to protect our female friend. And she heard a yelp and came up to a mortally wounded canine friend, which was rather traumatic for her. So many people like to have their dogs with them on the trail. It's a wonderful companion. Think carefully about the other critters that you might be sharing the space with, and the health and safety of the critter that you brought with you. Your dog probably has zero experience with moose and is simply going to see furry and take up chase. Fortunately, they're huge animals, so depending on the size of the dog, they may just simply look and stare and look back at you as if to ask, what do we do with this thing? But definitely with deer, they'll put up a chase, and then that is a stress on the deer, who, especially this time of year, the end of January, they may be having a baby, they're stressed from a long winter, and the nutrients that they're getting from the grass isn't yet substantial to be able to run long distances. So it may look funny, may look interesting, but the stress applied to the wildlife, particularly by pets, but also by humans. You know, we stressed this moose a bit, can have a fatal effect on some critters.
Will they abort? Will they lose their...
I don't know. I don't know enough about deer, but that was really cool. And she finally let me take a picture. We've had a couple of encounters, but she refused to let me stop and take photos. So this time we did. The last time it was a mom with 2 babies, and yeah, that definitely provokes a bit more defensiveness. So anything else to say?
Nope.